to the class on the course ARM Microcontroller and Embedded System. Today's topic is CPU scheduling algorithms of Module 5. In this video, we would be learning three CPU scheduling algorithms: SJF or the SRT algorithm, shortest job first or the shortest remaining time algorithm, round robin algorithm, and priority based algorithm. Problems using these three algorithms would be solved. So in CPU scheduling algorithms, we have two types: preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive scheduling. In preemptive scheduling, the processes that are currently being executed by the CPU can be interrupted or preempted and given back to the ready queue. That is, processes can be moved from the running state to the ready state is preemptive scheduling. In non-preemptive scheduling, processes which are getting executed by the CPU cannot be interrupted. That particular process has to be completely executed by the CPU. So there is no way that the processes can move from the running state to the ready state. So in this module, we would be concentrating only on the preemptive scheduling algorithms. The mode is always preemptive. So let us see what are the three algorithms and what are the criteria on which these algorithms work on. So if you take the first algorithm, shortest job or the shortest remaining time, right? So in this algorithm, the criteria for choosing a process and giving it to the CPU for execution is the process with the small or the smallest or the shortest completion time, estimated completion time, which is always called as a burst time, would be the criteria for choosing the process and giving it to the running queue. In round robin algorithm, the time slice or the time quantum period is the criteria for choosing a process from the ready queue and giving it to the running queue. And in priority based algorithms, priority of the processes is the criteria for giving it to the CPU for execution. Now let us take a problem 1, which is based on the SJF or the SRT algorithm. We are going to solve this particular problem. So the problem statement goes like this. There are three processes with process IDs P1, P2, P3 with estimated completion time ECT of 10, 5 and 7 milliseconds respectively, and they enter the queue together, which means all the three processes are entering the queue at the same time. Together, the arrival time of all the three processes is the same. A new process P4 with estimated completion time of 2 milliseconds enter the ready queue after 2 milliseconds. So you have a new process P4 coming in at 2 milliseconds and the ECT of that process is also 2 milliseconds, right? So we assume that all processes contain only CPU operation, which means there is no IO operation involved. All the processes are going to be running in the running state, and from running state they can go to the ready state, but they cannot go to the waiting or the blocked state. And there is also only one CPU for operation. It is a uniprocessor system. Is another assumption to be made here. You're asked to find the average turnaround time and the average waiting time. So these two parameters you need to compute using the SJF or the SRT algorithm. So given any problem statement, you need to make note of these three important points. That is the mode that has been asked for operation, and the mode here is preemptive. Scheduling algorithm that you want to apply uses the shortest job first or the shortest remaining time algorithm, and the criteria for this particular algorithm is the process with the shortest ECT or the burst time is chosen for execution, right? So based on the problem statement, we need to first tabulate these values. The first column, we would be listing out the processes. So there are 4 processes. Out of these 4 processes, P4 is arriving at 2 milliseconds. P1, P2, P3 are arriving at the same time, which is written in the second column. So arrival time is the instant, is the point at which the processes are entering the ready queue. So according to the problem, he says that P4 is entering at 2 milliseconds and all the other three, P1, P2, P3 are entering at the same time, that is 0 milliseconds. All values in the table are in milliseconds. Okay. So next, let us fill up the third column, the estimated completion time using the problem statement. So according to the problem, 10, 5, 7, 2 are the ECTs for the processes P1 to P4. So with this particular data, now we would be writing a graph called as the grant graph, in which I will be deciding the order in which the processes are going to be given to the CPU for execution. The criteria here is the shortest ECT, because we are dealing now with SJF or the SRT algorithm. So first look at the arrival time. So at 0 milliseconds, you have P1, P2, P3 entering. So out of these three, whichever has got the least value, that process would be chosen and given to the running queue. So out of these three, the least value is 5. So P2 process is chosen and given for execution. So P2 process would get executed from 0 to 2 milliseconds, because at 2 milliseconds, we have even P4 entering the queue. So at 2 milliseconds, I would have P1, P2, P3, P4, all the 4 processes in the queue for execution, because even P2 is not completely executed. Out of 5 milliseconds, only 2 milliseconds of execution is done, which means I'm left out with 3 more milliseconds, right? So at 2 milliseconds, out of these 4, I need to now choose one which would be based on the shortest value of your ECT. So out of these values, the shortest number is 2, which is for the process 4. So process 4 would be chosen. So process 4 would get executed for another 2 milliseconds. So it would go on up till 4 milliseconds. 2 plus 2, 4 milliseconds. With that, P4 is completely executed. You can remove from the queue. Now we have P1, P2, P3. Out of these three, the least value is for P2. So P2 would get chosen and it gets executed for 3 milliseconds. That is from 4 onwards 3, it will go until 7. So with this, P2 is also completely executed. You can remove it from the queue. Now you are left with P1 and P2, out of which 7 is least. So P3 is chosen and it would be executed for 7 milliseconds. So it would go up till 14. So P3 also now can be removed from the queue. And lastly, you have P1. So P1 is chosen. It would get executed for 10 milliseconds. So 14 plus 10, 24 milliseconds. P1 is also now completely executed. So this would be the order in which the processes are chosen and given to the CPU for execution. Right? Hope this is clear. Now let us fill up the next column, that is the completion time for each process looking at this graph. So from this graph, we need to take the values for the completion time of each process. So if you look at P1, P1 is getting completely executed at 24 milliseconds. So P1 is 24. P2 is getting executed at 7 milliseconds. 7. P3 is at 14 and P4 is at 4. So 14, 4. 14, 4. Now let us compute the turnaround time using the formula completion time minus arrival time. So this column minus this column, for each process you need to write. So 24 minus 0 is 24, 7 minus 0 is 7, 14 minus 0 is 14, 4 minus 2 is 2. Right? So to find the average TAT, we would be adding up all these values and dividing it by 4. Next, let us fill up the waiting time column using the formula TAT minus ECT, that is turnaround time minus the estimated completion time. So before striking off, the initial value which was given for the processes is what has to be considered here. So 24 minus 10 is 14, 7 minus 5 is 2, 14 minus 7 is 7, 2 minus 2 is 0. So the average waiting time would be sum of this divided by 4. 14 plus 2 plus 7 plus 0 divided by 4. And the average values of the turnaround time is found to be 11.75 milliseconds and the waiting time is found to be 5.75 milliseconds. This is about your SJF or the SRT algorithm. Now let us see the second problem. 3 processes with IDs P1, P2, P3 with estimated completion time of 6, 4 and 2 milliseconds respectively enter the queue together. So all the 3 are entering together in the order P1, P2, P3. Okay, so in the same order they are entering the queue at 0 milliseconds. We assume that all processors have only CPU operation and there is no IO operation involved, and the system is a uniprocessor system. Calculate the average turnaround time and the average waiting time using the round robin algorithm. So we'll be using the round robin algorithm. So in round robin algorithm, the time slice period would be specified in the problem, and here it is given as 2 milliseconds. Here it is given as 2 milliseconds. So the mode is preemptive here. Scheduling is the RR algorithm, round robin algorithm, and the criteria for choosing a process or the time period over which the CPU is given to the process for execution is the time slice period specified. Okay, time slice or the time quantum period that has been specified. Now let us solve this problem. So we need to tabulate these values as we did in the previous problem. So there are 3 processes according to the statement, and all are the 3 processes have the estimated completion time as 6, 4, and 2, again taken from the problem statement. Since all are arriving together, the arrival time is taken as 0, 0, 0. Now using this, we need to write the graph. Okay, so for round robin algorithm, we will be writing 2 queues. One is the ready queue and the other one is the running queue, because the processes would be picked up from the ready queue in the same order as it is and given to the running queue. So it is preferable that you write the ready queue with the arrival time and the the remaining time left for the process to get completed, and then decide the order in which the processes are given to the CPU for execution. Now, based on the problem statement, let me first write the ready queue. So the ready queue, I have all the 3 processes arriving at the same time. So let me put P1, P2, P3. All 3 are available at the same instant of time, 0. Okay. Now the processes would be chosen from this list and given to the running queue for execution. So first P1 would be chosen, given to your running queue, and this would get executed only for the time slice period specified, and that is 2 milliseconds. So P1 would get executed for 2 milliseconds, which means I am left with 4 more milliseconds to complete its execution, which means P1 has to be now given back to the ready queue. Okay, so since it is not completely executed, P1 would now go back to the ready queue and it would be placed after P3, because P1, P2, P3 are already there in the queue at the instant of time 0. Okay, so P1 is saved back here. Next, we would be choosing from the ready queue P2. P2 would get executed for 2 milliseconds. With that, P2 is left for 2 more milliseconds of execution. So P2 again has to be saved and it is placed next to P2 in the ready queue. Then we take P3. P3 is chosen. P3 is selected. P3 would get executed for 2 milliseconds. With that, P3 is completely done. You can remove it from the running queue. Now, P1 is chosen from the ready queue. P1 would run for another 2 milliseconds, which means you're left with 2 more. So I need to save it back into the ready queue. It comes next to P1. Now from this till here, we have given to the running queue for execution. Now P2 would be chosen next, and this would get executed for 2 milliseconds. So with that, P2 is completely done. You need not put it back into the ready queue. It is completely executed. You can remove it from the running queue. And lastly, you have P1 left out, and that would execute for 2 milliseconds. With that, P1 also would be completely executed and you can remove it from the queue. So this is the order in which the processes are given to the CPU for execution. Now let us fill up this particular column using our graph. The running queue graph has to be taken here. So using the running queue graph, we will fill up the CT column. So P1 is at 12 milliseconds. P1 is at 12 milliseconds. P2 is at 10. P3 is at 6. So 10 and 6. 10 and 6. These values are taken from this particular graph for the corresponding processes. Okay. Now calculate your TAT, which is CT minus AT. So 12 minus 0, 10 minus 0, and 6 minus 0. You get the same values, 12, 10, and 6. And waiting time is TAT minus ECT. So 12 minus 6 is 6. 10 minus 4 is 6. And 6 minus 2 is 4. Now you can find the average of these 3 values for the average TAT. 10 plus 12 plus 6 by 3. Okay, and the average TAT is found to be 9.33 milliseconds, and the average waiting time is found to be 5.33 milliseconds. Right? So now let us go to the next problem. So the third problem again I've chosen from the round robin algorithm because if the arrival time of the processes are different, then writing the ready queue may be a bit confusing. So that's the reason this problem was chosen, wherein we have 4 processes arriving at 4 different instances of time and their ECTs are also given. Same assumption is made that it is a uniprocessor system and there is no IO operation involved. You are asked to find the average turnaround time and the average waiting time, and the time slice period again here is 2 milliseconds, right? So first let us tabulate the values. You have 4 processes and the arrival time of each one is different, 0, 1, 2. The ECTs are taken from the problem statement, right? So with this data, we would be now writing 2 queues. One is the ready queue and the other one is the running queue. These 2 queues would be written now. So first we will write the ready queue based on the arrival time. So at 0, you have P1 in the ready queue. At 1 millisecond, you have P2 entering the queue. And at 2 milliseconds, you have P3 entering the queue. And P4 is entering at 4, which means at 3, there is no process that is entering the queue. So at 3 to 4, it is empty. At 4, you have P4 entering. So this slot will be used for saving the process which is executed for the time slice period and given back to the ready queue, right? So it is preferable to write the ready queue for every 1 milliseconds if the arrival time of the processes are different. Okay, now this is the ready queue. We would start picking from the ready queue the processes for execution now. So first P1 is chosen and this would run for 2 milliseconds. With that, P1 would be left with 3 milliseconds, which means I need to save it back into the ready queue. So P1 would be put back into the ready queue in this slot. Okay, it would be placed next to P3. And now from the ready queue, the second process is chosen and P2 would be now chosen. P2 would run for another 2 milliseconds. Since with that P2 is left out with 2 more milliseconds of execution, so P2 has to be saved back into the queue and P2 would be placed next to P4. So this placement you need to be very clear with. So P2 would go next to P4. Next you choose P3 from the queue. P3 would get executed for 2 milliseconds. With that P3 is completely executed, you can remove it from the running queue. Need not save it back into the ready queue because it has been completely executed. Now after P3, P1 would be chosen. So P1 would run for another 2 milliseconds, which means I'm left out with 1 more millisecond. So save this back into the ready queue after P2. Now we have P4. P4 would run for only 1 milliseconds because the ECT of that is 1 milliseconds. There is no use in running it for 2 milliseconds. So we would run it only for 1 milliseconds, 8 to 9, and we complete the execution of P4 removed from the running queue. Next take P2. P2 would run for another 2 milliseconds. With that P2 is completely executed, removed from the running queue. Now we have only P1 left out and this P1 would run for the last 1 milliseconds and it will complete its execution, right? So this is the order in which the processes are given to the CPU for execution. Now fill up the CT, the completion time from the graph. P1 is getting completed at 12 milliseconds. P2 at 11 milliseconds. P3 at 6 milliseconds. And P4 at 9 milliseconds. Okay. Now compute your TAT using the formula CT minus AT. That would give you 12 minus 0 is 12, 11 minus 1, 10, 6 minus 2, 4, 9 minus 4, 5. Compute the average wait, the waiting time for each process. That is TAT minus ECT. 12 minus 5, 7, 10 minus 4 is 6, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 5 minus 1 is 4. Now find the average value of TAT, that is 12 plus 10 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 4. To find the average WT, 7 plus 6 plus 2 plus 4 divided by 4. So the average values is found to be 7.75 milliseconds for TAT and 4.75 milliseconds for the average waiting time. So these are the values using round robin algorithm. Next, last problem, problem 4. So problem 4, we would be solving using the priority based algorithm. So you have 4 processes with the IDs P1, P2, P3, P4, and their estimated completion time of 5421 milliseconds. And they are entering the queue at different instance of time, that is 0, 1, 2, 4 milliseconds respectively. The priorities of these processes would be given in the problem. So the priorities are 10, 20, 30, and 40. And it is also given that 40 is highest, which means 40 is got the highest priority and 10 is the least priority. So higher the number, higher the priority is the specification given in the problem. So they would specify the priorities, and also they would specify the order in which you need to take the priority to, which one has to be taken highest and which one has to be taken least. Okay. Here again, we assume that it is an uniprocessor system, and also there is no IO operation involved, and you need to compute the same two values, that is the turnaround time and the waiting times average value, using this preemptive priority based algorithm. So the mode is preemptive, scheduling is priority based algorithm, and the criteria is you need to look into the priority and decide their sequence for giving it to the CPU for execution. So like the previous problems, we will be tabulating the same data. Along with this, you have to add another column to indicate the priority of the process. So how many processes are there? 4 processes. Their arrival times according to the problem statement is written here, and their ECTs is also taken. Priorities is also specified. So this much of data is given in the problem. This much of data is given in the problem. Now we will be writing the Gantt graph, in which I will be deciding the flow in which the processes would be given to the CPU for execution. Okay, so I have to look into the arrival time, and then I have to look into the priority, and then decide the processes to be given for execution. So first it is the P1 process which is entering into the ready queue. So P1 is chosen, and P1 would get executed from 0 to 1 milliseconds. So it would get executed for only 1 millisecond, because at 1 milliseconds even I have P2 entering. So at 1 millisecond I would have P1 as well as P2. So out of these two I have to see the priority and then decide the process to be given next. Okay, to be chosen next for the running queue. So 0 to 1 I would be executing P1, but I would be left out with 4 more milliseconds of execution. So I need to now see at P1, at 1 milliseconds, which out of P1 and P2, that is 4 and 4 ECT, 10 and 20 priority, which one I have to choose. So P1 and P2 both are there, but higher priority is for P2. So P2 would be chosen, and P2 would get executed again for another 1 millisecond only. That is, it would go up till 2 milliseconds, because at 2 milliseconds, you have even P3 coming in. So at 2 milliseconds, I would have P1, P2, P3, all the three. Now out of these three, whichever has the highest priority, that particular processor has to be chosen and given to the queue, given to the CPU for execution. So P2 would be left out with 3 milliseconds of execution. Next, I would be deciding out of these three, which one to be chosen. So I would choose P3 because this has got the highest priority. So P3 is chosen. P3 would get executed for 2 milliseconds because I don't have any entry at 3, right? So I would run it for 2 milliseconds. With that, P3 is completely executed. You can remove it from the running queue. You can remove it from the running queue. But at 4 milliseconds, you have even P4 coming in. So at 4 milliseconds, the pending processes are P1, P2, P4. Out of these 4, your highest priority is for P4 process. So P4 process would be chosen, and that would be executed for 1 millisecond, because the ECT of P4 is only 1 millisecond. So P4 is completely executed. You can remove it from the queue. Now you are left with P1 and P2, out of which 20 is the higher priority. So P2 is chosen, and this would get executed for 3 milliseconds completely, so that it is now it has completed its execution and you can remove from the queue. And lastly, it is the P1 which is going to get chosen, and this is going to get executed for 4 milliseconds. So it will go up to 12, and with that P1 is also completely executed. So this would be the sequence in which the processes are given to the CPU for execution. Now fill up the CT column using this graph. So P1 is getting executed at 12, P2 at 8, P3 at 4, and P4 at 5. 12, 8, 4, and 5. Now calculate your TAT, which is CT minus AT. 12 minus 0, 12, 8 minus 1, 7, 4 minus 2, 2, 5 minus 4, 1. Next, compute your waiting time, which is TAT minus ECT. 12 minus 5, 7, 7 minus 4, 3, 2 minus 2, 0, 1 minus 1, 0. Now, find the average TAT, that is 12 plus 7 plus 2 plus 1 by 4. And the average TAT is 5.5 milliseconds, and the average waiting time is found to be 2.5 milliseconds. So this is the average turnaround time and the average waiting time using the priority based algorithm. Thank you.